And we're back at it again here in Austin, Texas for the World Championship Series as we continue along here in day number 1 to find our second circuit champion of the year. Will it be someone new or will it be the man on top, Cyril? Stay tuned to find out. I'm Nathanius, joined on the desk again by my boy Fear Dragon on the far left. Yep. Well, have you been enjoying your Austin experience so far, Ravi?
It's been great ever since I got to cast the first series. Jeff has been bullying me, so he glued my shoes to the floor here, and I've been stuck at the desk since the beginning of the day.
You know, they say that Jeff always gets stuck on the desk, but he found a way to literally make Ravi stuck. And I'm joined by fellow meme expert, Rapid. How does it feel to escape Korea into being tasteless as busboy?
It's my first time back in the States for, I think, the last 2 years. But honestly, it feels like coming home. I grew up in Texas, and it's fantastic to be back here in Austin for the first time in a long time. And it's great to have so much great StarCraft going on at the same time, getting a chance to cast for the first time here at WCS. It's been a great time.
Awesome. I'm glad to have both of you guys here. It's been an exciting event so far. A lot of interesting things have been going on. I think you were talking about, you had something that you wanted to mention, Fear Dragon.
I mean, there were a few things I wanted to mention, but one thing I wanted to mention was I looked up where exactly. I was like, oh, you know, congrats, TLO did a good job with that last series. Where did he end up? Oh, he's in Cyril's group. Yeah. Oh, congratulations, TLO. You got your wish. You got Cyril.
Just in case anybody was hopeful that TLO would not get put with the best player in the tournament, he did. So, with that being said, we're ready to move on to our next match. It's going to be Clem, our very young player, going up against, I believe his name is Jieshi. Don't quote me on the pronunciation on that.
It's a little bit closer to Jieshi, but we're going to quote
whatever
you want to go.
Okay.
It's a little bit like Leipzig, you know, there's a couple of different interpretations.
You're the only one that's allowed to say the name of it then, so I don't actually know what race Jieshi plays. But
I believe is he Terran?
He is a Protoss player.
Okay. So some TVP action coming up here. Clem had a very exciting match. I actually watched the one game that I was able to watch when we were waiting to start the broadcast today was Clem's series against Bly, which got weird. I mean, we had nukes everywhere, ranged liberators, the snipe and whatnot. So he's not shy to play long games, but I guess I don't really know too much about his opponent, to be honest.
Yeah, it's... Oh, do you have any thoughts on that?
So the last time I got a chance to watch Jieshi play was during WESG way back in the day when they were going through the Chinese qualifiers for that. You know, he's not exactly well known in the Chinese scene. I think you would definitely put other Chinese Protosses ahead of him. But I do think that it will be interesting to watch sort of the regional metas collide here.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten a chance to see too much of Clem in international competition. And for the first time ever, you know, over in France, where Clem is from, StarCraft 2 is rated PEGI 16. So this is the first year that StarCraft 2 has been appropriate for Clem to play, and right on time, here he is.
Yeah, there you go. He's finally allowed to play StarCraft. What a bad boy as we get ready to go into this match. I think we are going to also take a look at the groups. We have made it to Group Stage 3, a.k.a. the round of 32. In Group A, well, Doom Group, Cyril, TLO, Clem, and Jieshi, which basically means the three of them have one pool cue to fight each other with to get out, because there's no way anyone's beating Cyril here.
Well, you know, you never know. Clem is the new guy on the block. Not everyone's gotten to see him.
Let's go to Group B.
You know, you never know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that one.
You do not, yeah. Thank you, Rapid. Thank you for that one. Group B, Neeb, Nurchio, Nice, and NXZ. I think...
it's the N group.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Even though it's Group B, it's also Group N.
How about that? Yeah. I mean, I'll bring out my American fanboyism. I see this as this should be 100% Neeb out. I'd say this is a Neeb Nurchio group. Nice has shown us he had some shaky games earlier today when we had him on stream, and NXZ is one of those Australian players that we see, or is he New Zealand? It's that red region.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's a tough group for those two. This looks to me like a Neeb Nurchio.
Yeah. I mean, if there's any man that can bring the memes, it's going to be NXZ. I think a lot of people are really impressed with his performance at IEM to qualify to come here. So I'm hoping for some wackiness, but like you said, a little bit top-heavy.
This group, I like Group C. A Laser, Special, Puck, Future. This group actually, I think, is a bit open. I think that Puck and Future both have what it takes to upset either a laser or special.
So what's interesting also is that does mean that Future ended up defeating Semper then in Group Stage 2, so he's the one that advanced on out. And it's kind of cool because we were talking about Clem and how he just turned 16. He can finally play in the WCS circuit. But funny enough, Future is the American version of that.
Yes.
He is the guy who just turned 16, has a lot of promise, but hasn't had the tournament experience. But getting to Group Stage 3, that's a really awesome first event.
Yeah, that is a really cool group. I think Group C is definitely one to keep our eyes on. And Group D, Mana, True, Euthermal, and Seether. This one, I think this one's quite interesting because these are all players I think that have had definitely ups and downs. Euthermal did come into the tournament saying he was feeling very confident though.
Yeah, specifically Seether looked just fantastic. Just bopped his way straight through to the IEM finals to get a chance to qualify here. This guy is a monster in his region, but now he has to go up against the Korean representative here in True, fresh out of his GSL round of 32 performance. Unfortunately, he didn't advance there, but he is still allowed to come and play in the open bracket here. It was a complicated situation, but it's great to see Taesu back at it again, and it does look like he is way up towards the top of being a favorite here in Group D.
Yeah, I think this one's a little bit hard to call. I guess it really depends on how well, I would say, either Euthermal or Mana are playing, because True always has a way of... He does not lose early on from like when I see him in these games. He's always very good at getting inside his opponent's heads, just being very crazy and hard to predict.
Yeah, he just plays like nobody else does. I think a lot of his teammates always say that he plays like a clown, which I think is a really appropriate description of how True plays, but he's a clown that wins. And I think my other favorite part about this group is that, of course, we had Mana and Euthermal. We're like, you know what? We haven't had a Team Liquid team kill for a little bit. Let's just put them in the same group.
That's true. We need that back group. E, Stefano, Hero Marine, Soul, and Expect. I think Expect comes in as the player that's like, well, you need to make some sort of a miracle happen to get out of this group, because Soul, I think those top 3 players are extremely competitive. It also depends which Stefano showed up to the tournament here.
That's true. Also, which Hero Marine? I mean, recently as Leipzig, Hero Marine, man, that guy is on fire. But specifically the year before, I was reading an interview where he said that was not his year. Like, he kept trying to qualify and always getting knocked out. But it seems like he is back and ready to go. So I'm excited to see which Hero Marine shows up as well.
And we talked about his performance at WCS Europe Challenger as well, being able to at least put a
game off of Cyril.
He took a map off Cyril, worth $1,000. There you go. Like, boom, take that to the bank. Group F, we have Haas, Lambo, Massa, and Dinas. Well, this group just feels a little cheesy to me. I mean, you've got Haas and Massa. Massa, if you guys forgot already, the WCS NA Challenger, proxied/cheesed every game, or fake cheesed every game of the semis and the finals.
I think that's my favorite part is he says, I'm going to proxy every single game, and he stays true to that word, but he sometimes just proxies his buildings right outside his main base. It's like, I'm not doing anything with these. I'm just going to float them back over. I just want to mess with you.
Yeah, Massa's been playing really weird. I find that exciting.
Yeah, Lambo also had to come out of a very difficult group, eliminating a laser, and I think it was... Ooh,
you want cheat?
Another
tough
player.
I got the details.
It was a tough group of Zergs. Was it Zanster?
It was Zanster, yeah. So, wow, just what a tough group. So,
Group G, I like this. Bly, Drogo, Snoot, and Time. And this one, fairly well balanced. Snoot at this point with the bit of delay that
he's just on a marathon, man.
Yeah, he came, what was it they said? He came here straight from the airport to play.
After about 30 hours of travel and having an overnight delay at Washington, D.C.
Nice. Well,
that's super fun.
Not the way that you want to have to spend time in the nation's capital, but let's see if he can make his way out of that group. That will be a very tough one. Group H, Cyan, Harstam, Kellizer, and Scarlet.
Ooh. Excited to see how Scarlet does. She took an early exit around this time in Leipzig, so unfortunately wasn't able to make it as deep as you would associate a lot of her recent successes with allowing her to. But for Kellizer, also another one of those players, which version shows up today? I'm excited because he dominated his way once again through the Copa finals, got all the way there, qualified here to be here today at WCS Austin, but we all know what it looks like when Kellizer shows up and when he doesn't.
Yeah, it's really interesting too, because Kellizer has sort of been off the radar for a lot of the StarCraft scene for the past couple of months. He's just really not been playing in all that many tournaments online, or he's sort of been on his own. He says he's still practicing and playing and kind of trying hard, but we're really all interested to see what Kellizer is actually there.
Kellizer had some great plays in the circuit last year. I'm looking forward to see how he performs at this tournament, because he has been one of those players we see. He's like, is he going up? Is he going to go back down a little bit? Another player that always comes to mind about that is Puck, who had really good results in WCS years ago, and now he still gets into these stages of the tournament, but the consistency is very difficult, and I think that matches some of the players like Massa and Kellezer that makes them very exciting to watch, at least on the North American side of things as we get ready for that next matchup. Yeah, so I guess let's get back to it. Jieshi versus Clem.
So I actually want to mention something. Jieshi actually has had some pretty decent results. He's played in things like the Alima League. He's been able in one of the Alima Leagues, not but about 20 or so, 20, 30 days ago. He beat Bunny 2-1, he beat Zest 2-1, and he beat Ryung 2-1. So he's definitely not incapable of playing some really, really good StarCraft, but it's still kind of a bit of a question. I think not many people have seen him outside of that Chinese scene. He's been able to accumulate over $22,000 in prize money in his Chinese scene, but it's still kind of a little bit of a question. How good is he going to be in the international aspect?
Yeah, well, I mean, travel is something that we do bring up occasionally. It does affect these players, a lot of them making trips around the world. We talk about the home field advantage. Guys like Neeb don't have to go very far to come here and play, but two players coming from pretty fair distance. Clem, though, so much hype around this young man.
He's also just so cute. Have you seen him?
I haven't actually met him yet.
Yeah, we've got several players. Everybody knows about Raynor, right? He's very young and competing. Same situation for, I guess you said Future, also very young. But for Clem, like, I mean, I see him walking around there, and I start to, you know, like look around for parental guidance, and I'm just like, wow, this is just a very young kid competing at, I think, the very first WCS event that he's allowed to play at, if I'm correct. So he is just really, I don't want to say in over his head, because I've been looking at the bracket and the games that he's played. He's killing it.
Well, he's playing so well. He's building up a crowd around him in the player pit every single time he's playing a game. It's awesome.
Yeah. The match I got to see him play versus Bly earlier was also just insane. He has the control, the skill, the macro to take it to the late game. He can play some StarCraft, and I think it's always nice to see some fresh blood in StarCraft. A lot of these players have been competing since we started 8 years ago. So, TLO, Wings of Liberty Beta.
My favorite part about Clem, it's like Clem, Raynor, and Future, and they're all so different in how old they look, because Raynor looks like, yeah, you know, I can see you being 15, 16 years old. Makes sense. Future is really tall, so he actually looks like he's maybe 18 to 19 years old. And then you have Clem, who's now 16, but he still looks like he's maybe 11 or 12. So it's like, you got the big range on what a 16-year-old looks like.
Right. Well, you also, maybe that makes players maybe underestimate him a little bit, but I was watching his group stage, I think it was group stage 1 games. He was playing against Showtime, and he 2-1'd him. Like, how many people just are there alive that can do that? What a way to start things off, and it's gotten him all the way here to group stage 3.
Yeah, I think everybody's really excited to see Clem finally get some main stage practice, some experience playing here now that he's actually allowed to be here.
Yeah, right?
So as a player that you're like, well, you know, we talked about Neeb, he had his big rise up, but this guy's younger than Neeb was, and he's already here. He's doing extremely well. Where is he going to be in 2 years from now when he's able to travel on his own legally, you know?
We've got the next version of pro gamers. They're younger, faster, smarter. Can anyone stop them?
Well, hey, I mean, that was a huge thing with Maru coming up as being a young Korean pro, but we are ready to introduce our players. We have Smix on the stage to get us into our next series.
That is correct, Nathanius. I am so excited to bring these two players out. Please welcome on stage. It is Clem and Jieshi.
There they are, Clem and Jieshi. Clem, yeah, he's adorable. He's played for France in Nation Wars, his first WCS event. And, yeah.
So cute.
I mean, he's going up against quite a formidable opponent who has had strong recent performances from what you said earlier, Ravi, and he does compete, of course, quite frequently over in the Chinese League, where he has also had some, I don't want to say successes, because he always gets really close, but then can't quite close it out. And, I mean, if you look at the way the vote goes, people either not voting or very close.
I think the poll just opened, so Twitch chat, do your thing. Let us know who's going to win. Remove the analysis from the equation.
I just want to look there and know what I'm supposed to say. As a caster, of course, chat is the first place I look to for deep analysis. And really everything I say just comes straight from them. And look,
as a streamer, I completely agree. Look at that. Goodness gracious.
I have a question for you guys. When you see these polls, do you usually vote for who you want to win or who you think is going to win?
Well, do I have anything on the line? If I have skin in the game, of course I'm going to vote for, who is actually going to win. And I think both of those are the same player for me right now.
All right, well let's go in a little bit, then let's talk about these players. We got a lot of people picking on Clem. All right, so we're gonna do the thing. We're gonna talk about Clem for a little bit. He's good. He's got the most votes for France in Nation Wars 5. He is young. He is extremely talented at StarCraft. It could go a hell of a long way here in his first WCS event. I think a lot of people are very excited to see him play. Is there anything that stands out to you about him in games that you've seen, notable matches or tournament results prior to this?
So this is an important thing I want to note because it sometimes is a little bit misleading when we say, oh, he just turned 16, he can finally participate in WCS. But there is actually a lot of online tournaments and stuff that happen outside of WCS.
Yeah.
And Clem has been playing in these tournaments for a few years now, and he has gradually worked his way up. It wasn't just, this kid picked up StarCraft, and we said, oh, you can play this here. It's like, oh, cool, it happens that I'm really good at StarCraft. No, he has been playing, he worked his way up, and last year he was taking out a lot of the top names, similar to Raynor, and building up a lot of hype for himself. So he has the experience versus these kind of level of players, but he just doesn't have the offline experience. So, and that was the big worry. But he's already shown in the group stages that he can handle that kind of pressure. The real question is, can he handle the main stage, Nate? That's what I'm looking for.
And it'll be his first real time dealing with that. Quick thoughts on Jieshi? Anything else that we know about this guy?
I think it's not just the way that the fan vote looks, but just looking on the different stats pages. I think we were checking out Illegal Act earlier, and it was a little bit one-sided in Clem's favor. So I would say that regardless of if you have deep knowledge about these two players, it does seem like he is a little bit favored. Honestly, I just want to see these guys play on a very new map pool, see what it looks like, because everything is going to look just a little bit different since all of these players qualified on the previous map pool and are going to have to bring out something a little bit different here today.
We're in the round of 32. We've had a lot of one-sided series so far today, so hopefully we can get a little bit more of a slugfest going is what I'm hoping for. But let's find out if my dreams will come true as we've got this match ready to go. It's time for Clem versus Jieshi.
Thank you very much, Nathanius and the boys. I'm in control. He's Rotterdam, and this is going to be a good one. Coming off a little bit of a break there, we've got a Chinese Protoss player who we don't get to see play very often. It's been 2015 since we've seen him in WCS, going up against a guy in 2015 was 13 years old. He was not even allowed near this kind of competition, but already he's on the big stage, Roddy.
It's super cool to see Clem here. See Clem here. I mean, we've seen Clem here as well, but super cool to see Clem here. It was already fun to see him qualify for WCS Challenger immediately in his first try. The first time he was eligible to play, he made it into Challenger, and that basically means that he makes it into the top 16 of Europe. Then you're talking about Europe's elite. This kid is still so young. A lot of eyes are on Raynor, but this kid deserves all the love and hype as well. It's going to be a big series. I mean, so far, this young man is TVP. We didn't show it on the mainstream, but perhaps we should have had, Jeff, because he defeated Showtime. He also defeated Cyan. I mean, if you can defeat those two, I would normally say you should be able to defeat this Chinese Protoss as well that we haven't seen in quite some time.
Absolutely. And like Robbie was saying, he's been doing it for a while now, so it's just now being put on the stage. But let's go ahead and introduce these players. That young person from France, in the lower right-hand side, it's the Blue Terran, Clem.
It is so good. It is very, very, very good. This is not his first big tournament. We can talk more about that later after we introduce our Chinese Protoss spawning on the left top side of Acid Plant. It's been a long day. And Jeff, I know you're setting me up for this one.
I know.
Jieshi? I tried.
Yeah, that is the introduction production.
It's hard to introduce.
We mean no disrespect, but some of these names, guys, I did set up Kevin. To be fair, the production had it there, and I was like, I'm taking it, it's fine. But here's the thing. This probe moving out fairly early, it could just be a scout, but one of the things kind of Chinese players are known for, it's just the Chinese scene at whole, aggression and builds kind of built around a single moment. You can call it an all-in if you like, but that's one of the dangers here. I think on paper you look at it and you say Clem is the better player for most part, but on this stage with these nerves, it's the third group stage. If you get a good executed all-in against you, sometimes you can be the better player and still lose.
Yep. I mean, this is a very tough series for me to predict because I haven't seen this Chinese Protoss player play in a long time. But the fact that what the boys mentioned on the desk as well, he has taken series of Ryong and Bunny, like especially Bunny in that matchup. I actually think that Bunny is an excellent TVP player.
Absolutely.
Ryong maybe shines a little bit more in the other matchups in general, but I mean, that must mean that this Chinese Protoss player is capable of something. But of course, we can say the same about Clem because he defeated freaking Showtime today, which is a massive victory. I want to point out that this is not the first big international tournament that Clem is participating in. He also played at the WESG European qualifier over in Barcelona, roughly 5-6 months ago. That was November last year, so even a little bit more than 6 months ago. So he had some experience. He did not shine that event. He did not show up in the way we expected. But at the same time, maybe that was expected because that was his first big international European competition.
Well, it's interesting because there's a lot of hype around him, right? So maybe for him, losing to who he did is a completely okay, normal thing. I mean, that's one of the things in StarCraft that we kind of glossed over, but there's a lot of great players, and we judge each other off of results, right? So it's like, didn't have a good tournament. Who'd they lose to? I don't know, it's Showtime or something like that. It's like, well, I mean, a lot of people lost. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Clem has looked good, as we've been saying, beating Showtime here. And this is a LAN event, so maybe even if they're not on the big stage, they're still over there in the pit playing against these guys in person. And one of the kind of cool things I like about Clem is if you look, he doesn't seem to be too terribly nervous. And I think that's actually one of the interesting edges a lot of younger players have. And a big part of the reason why in Korea I think they do so well at younger ages is because they're like, yeah, I'll be here again. I'm not too terribly worried about it. Of course, different players, different situations, but here he just doesn't look that nervous.
What I like actually is the 3-Rex opening here. This is an opening that has fallen out of fashion a little bit, but I still think this is a very underrated opening, especially because a lot of these Protoss players, they play very greedy, they have a minimum amount of units, and the way that Jieshi is opening up over here as well is 1 gate fast expand into Blink Stalkers. Now, the only way that Blink Stalkers are going to be good against his 3-Rex is if your Blink Stalkers are literally on the other side of the map. You're going to stand there, you're going to pick off units one by one, because if you just stay on your side of the map and suddenly, 25 supply of bio units show up, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, Jeff.
And this probe is poised to add that third nexus here, which is that kind of form of aggression. To your point, though, Kevin, one of the interesting things about that 3X opening is it doesn't have to be aggressive. It's kind of a nice cookie-cutter opening. With him pumping out Marauders here, it's looking like he will at least lean out here. And to your point, Blink Stalkers, not the best. I mean, if they're across the map, kind of kiting back and forward like this, they can slow it down. But with that third nexus, your ability to have, 4, 5, 6 gateways or something like that's going to be really hard to do.
Yeah, this is going to be tough, I think, for our Chinese Protoss. We'll see. He's going to identify immediately that this is indeed a multiple barracks opening.
Oh, the ramp timing.
With the way that he's opening up, though, he's going to have very few units at home. This kiting is going to have to be out of this world. You have to be very careful as well, because once the Marauders show up, if you just stim forward, if he would mess up once and lose 2 Stalkers, it becomes almost impossible to defend this 3-base setup.
I think it's just 3 gateways, or maybe 2. He's adding double forge behind this as well. But one of the nice things that can kind of scare Clem as well is he sees Blink there. And Kevin, everything you just talked about, that is the recipe for slowing this down. So does Clem begin to have doubts? We can see the Bioforce kind of poised outside of the natural, just sitting there. It is going to start making its way out just now, but Concussive Shell only just now begun. And Combat Shield just finished, I think.
But Charge is not going to be done yet by the time that this Bio Army shows up. I'm actually very surprised that our Chinese Protoss went all the way back to his side of the map, because now that means that this Nexus, it's super forfeit. You cannot hold this, no matter how good your Blink Stalker micro may be. You simply don't have enough units. He's going to see these amount of units show up here. There is a Guardian Shield available. Stim forward, focus the sentry is what I think Clem should be doing here.
I don't know. He stimmed a little bit earlier on, but he's going in onto the forces. All the buffer's gone. It's just Stalkers. One shield barrier's not going to do it. Zealot's melting. Clem's going to push forward here. Both Stalkers trying to do what they can, but so much damage is being incurred, Roddy.
A lot of probes are going to go down here as well. The last few Stalkers are going to fall, and Clem with his good old 3-Rex opening here is perhaps doing game-ending damage already. He's going to get a few more Stalkers. More probes go down. That's 18 workers going down for our Protoss.
And he's not even done just yet. I mean, this is one of those situations where it's like, he's going to quote-unquote clean it up, but it's not quite a clean because there's fires, there's bodies everywhere, the building's toppled over. it's a you survive for now type of situation. 27 Army to 6, 51 workers to 30. These aren't the kind of numbers of success, Roddy. No. Not for a Protoss.
And I'm so shocked, though, because it started off all right for our Chinese Protoss, but he had his Stalkers on the other side of the map. When he started picking up a couple of Marines and doing a little bit of damage, if he would have continued doing that and then just swap in more units at home, pick off a few more Marines, then I actually think he's able to hold. But he just went to his side of the map. He just stood there, and once again, in a straight-up fight, those Stalkers are simply not enough to match that 3 racks opening from Clem.
And he's kind of locked in, though, Roddy, to go to that moment as well, because I feel like if he identifies what's coming and he adds 3 or 4 more gateways as opposed to double forge, he actually holds that off. And then all of a sudden, the 3 racks opening becomes really bad. It's a later third, it's later tech, the upgrades aren't as good.
Even if he just stops building probes, he chrono boosts out an Immortal and he chrono boosts the gateways a little bit. Just anything to get enough units out to defend that first wave. Because if you do that, then it's fine for you as a Protoss player. Right now, I mean, even if he defends here, which I highly doubt he will, it just doesn't make much of a difference. He's so far down in workers. The sentries are going to get picked off. And a young Frenchman is looking on point here in game number 1.
Yep. He's going to be able to get right past his force fields. The rest of the force joins up, and it's just going to be too much. Zealot's coming out, but it's just ever so much wood to the chipper. GG is called out, and the young Frenchman takes the first game.
Yep. And so we were talking a little bit about that land before, right? Like, this is the second big international competition for young Clem. But just to put things in perspective, in November, he was in a group with Showtime, Serral, there you go. But then also Night End and Starbuck. Now, the fact that, you know, 15-year-old Clem lost to Showtime and Serral, no one would really look onto it. But Night End and Starbuck seemed like beatable opponents for Clem, because he did make it through a very tough French qualifier back then. And then you beat guys like Drogo, DNS, Stefano, so, you know, that says enough. But back then he went 0-4, 0-8. But that's 7 months ago. You can already see, just from one experience, how much this young man has grown, and I think that's fantastic.
I think you hit the nail on the head, Roddy. I mean, that's what's so cool about young players is, for us, we look at the span of some of these more storied players, like a TLO, it's like, you got 8 years of talking about different ups and downs, but with these young guys, 7-8 months is a world of a difference. I mean, that was his first major LAN. So he was in that group and he didn't get the results we thought. Fine. Well, here he is showing up to WCS Austin. Group stage 3.
Already in the money.
A Chinese pro. Yeah, he's making money. He's doing well. I love that we get the camera shot of him. He takes a deep breath. He looks focused. I mean, he's got the makings of the future of our sport. It's so great.
I just look forward, man, to perhaps seeing a Clem or a Raynor making it to the global finals at the end of the year. How freaking cool would that be, Jeff?
But it's a long road.
Yes, it is, but these kids are good enough. I mean, you look at Raynor, what he's been doing lately as well online. Who says that Raynor cannot come in and potentially win a WCS championship? Like, is he there yet? Maybe not totally yet, but that kid is actually not too far off. And even Clem as well. Clem is getting better. I think the recent patch has truly helped him a little bit against Protoss as well. He seems to be more on point in this matchup. This young man, I mean, like you said, that's the face of the future of StarCraft 2.
They got a lot of guts, Roddy. I'll tell you, because I think one of the most beautiful aspects, but also challenging of StarCraft is you can have the talent. You can have all the things that it takes to get there, and it's still not guaranteed. StarCraft is such an incredible testament of will, ability, and some luck even. I mean, if you just keep hitting a Serral, I mean, one of the like harrowing stats I saw is, you know, TLO had a good form, good last year, eliminated by Neeb 3 times. Guess what group he's in this time?
Yeah, the
Serral.
one with
So
Serral.
it's like, if you have that kind of luck, I don't care how good you are, unless you're the absolute best, you get stopped. So it's amazing to see these young people compete. It's really great. I just think it's so cool that they're doing it in StarCraft, because of a game where you can be that talented, sometimes you still don't get to go to the big stage.
Yep. Now, obviously, Clem has not won this best of 3 just yet. I absolutely do not want to count out our Chinese Protoss. I like his build on paper, because that's a build that's just very popular across the build. I love playing like that myself. You open up with the Blink Stalkers, you get that upgrade advantage over the Terran, you start adding in those charge slots. But if you play against an opening that does not include a fast factory, which means multiple barracks, that bio count is going to be high. That first stim timing with either +1 or combat shield, whatever it is, you need to buy time against it. And he simply didn't do it.
Well, I agree with you. It's a good build, but he just didn't have the information. It didn't kind of react to it. It's just like, I'm doing this build no matter what I see. We'll have to see if he can react a little bit differently. So, leading the series 1-0 from France, the 16-year-old, it's Clem. I did it to you again, Kevin. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
I just respect your ability to do it, to rise to the challenge. You know?
On the right top side of Lost and Found, we're looking at the main base of our Chinese Protoss player. Give it up for Jieshi.
I think you nailed it.
I don't think I did, but it's all good.
You know what? I just believe in you. I think you did. Now, he's got to recover. Like you said, his build was quite strong, was good, but I think the issue that you and I both have was it got a little bit of information, and it was kind of like, nope, I'm not changing anything. So that's the kind of sign of a player that's pretty good, but perhaps not ready for that next level. You got to have your build, and then you got to have the gumption to break away from it.
Yep, you also need the courage to keep your stalkers on the other side of the map and be like, I am good enough to pick off a Marine one by one. It felt like the moment he saw 2 Marauders, he's like, whoa, I'm out of here. But
Marauders?
Yeah, it's like, I can't kite against that. But you still got to try. And also the fact, I think he had 3 observers. Like, against the 3-Rex, you cannot open with Blink Stalkers and 3 observers. Like, no, you need an Immortal. At least one. You need to fight near a shield battery, a Guardian shield. He just didn't do the right things. Now I'm very curious if Clem is going to switch things up here. If it's a Reaper fast expand into a factory, or if he's like, you know what? I have the feeling that I can go 3-Rex against you again, because you seem to struggle against it. And there we already see barracks number 2.
The old adage, if it isn't broke, don't fix it, could be applied here. Now Clem is going to have that Reaper kind of pop out. It's an early reactor. It's pretty standard there in case any kind of aggression's coming your way. You're going to want to have the ability to make a lot of units. Now, if this probe can go undetected, one of the popular things to do here as well is, of course, follow up with that tech after the Cybernetic Core. Could be a Stargate. If you're Zest, it could be double Robo, something crazy like that. But he does have the Nexus.
So far, it is pretty similar to what we saw on the previous map. We're going to see a Twilight Council going up. Oh, that's a well-placed grenade. Barely misses a probe. Yeah, I mean, A for effort. I thought it was a well-placed grenade.
Fair enough. You know what? We can't be too critical of everything they do, right? But it does, very importantly so, the timing of everything that just happened there means that Clem did not see the Twilight Council. Now, if we don't get a Dark Shrine, it is basically the thing he just faced, so it's not the biggest of deals. But if it is a Dark Shrine...
Can we take a look at what our Chinese Protoss actually saw in the main base of Clem with that probe? Because I know he sent that probe in, he tried to harass the SCV.
No.
Can we just take a look at the vision of our Chinese Protoss in the main base of Clem? So he doesn't know. He basically didn't really go all the way in. All he did was harass the SCV that was building the CC, which is cute. It's very important that this Adept sees a little bit more.
Well, he's right in front here, waiting for that shade. There it is. Will get denied, or should have.
Okay, now he sees at least, you know, he sees spots the second barracks. So now I truly wonder, are we going to see all those things that we mentioned, Jeff? Is he going to buy more time with those Blink Stalkers? Is he actually going to go maybe Observer and then Immortal? Is he even going to go up to double forts or 3 bases? Maybe he stays on 2 bases a little bit longer. Yet. You can go double forts on 2 bases. That's not bad at all, as long as you survive.
Yeah, he's a Chinese base. He could just go 5 gateways here, man. Yeah. Oh, no, there's the Robo. Never mind.
But I really wouldn't hate it. Like, I don't hate if you stay on 2 bases against a 3-Rex opening. I don't say you have to, but I think it's playing it safe.
It kind of puts the game on this, you have to put down the aggression hard. Like a just straight exchange, in my opinion, in that situation doesn't actually go very well, because then the medevacs pop out, you're a little bit further behind. It's supposed to be kind of even, but I guess against Terran, you kind of want to be a little bit ahead to be even.
But it all comes down to the upgrades as well, right? If you're on 2 base against 2 base, but you have 2-2 on the way while Terran is still working on 1-1, then it's something I can live with it. Now, it seems like our Chinese Protoss still wants to go up to 3 bases rather quickly. And now, obviously, we're going to keep a close eye on what will he get out of that robotics facility. Is it going to be double fort? I would say 1 observer, but after that, I would love to see an Immortal.
Earlier charge here.
Yeah.
No, I have to agree with you, though. In everything he's seen is confirming that what he's facing is the same. Now, what I like about this for our Chinese Protoss is he wasn't that far off from holding off that last aggression. And it really is only the first attack that you have to hold off really well.
So he's starting.
No, there's double forge, man. You gotta stay here and do this, though.
This is already, I mean, this is already a 2nd observer, by the way. I'd love to see an Immortal after this second. Last game he opened up with 3 observers. I'd love to see an Immortal here. At least he's keeping the Stalkers where he's supposed to keep them. So, okay, there you go. Immortal is on the way now, and the Stalkers are still... I don't send him home. I really don't want to see him send him home. No, he can't do that.
They just got the memo. They're coming home. You've done enough, boys. You've done enough. Come home.
I don't think he's done enough. I mean, with the Immortal, it obviously becomes a different ballgame. Is it a single forge this game?
No, it's double, but he's just got the 1 going.
Okay.
Unless he canceled. No, it's just the 1. He's chrono boosting that, adding some more gateways. I do like the observers in the sense that they're catching all the movement. They can see exact timing here. Now, this map is fairly congested. Keep that in mind. So if you get a couple of force fields off at one of these ramps or these choke points, you can make a defense with less. You can do it.
A shield battery and that Immortal as well. Now the Stalkers are going out again. He's gonna find a single Marine.
He's a little bit too jumpy about that.
Yeah,
quite literally.
He's just blinking all over the place. Finds another Marine for himself. It makes a difference. Every single Marine does make a difference. Where's that army? You do make a good point about these 10 trees, and don't forget there is an Immortal in the mix as well.
Love
so this becomes a little bit more difficult for the French Terran player.
Get over there. Yeah, no, I'm starting to like this. Double medevac's about to come out, so if the majority of this force doesn't get chopped down the 2 medevacs are going to make it really hard for the defense after that, I think.
Now, of course, Clem is going up to 3 bases behind all of this, so it's not like this is an all-in. No. He has to win the game, but in the previous game, he pretty much did. I don't like him chasing out. I don't think that's necessary.
Well,
that's
with the force fields.
Couple Zealots going down already, though. He's losing a lot of Zealots. This so far was not a good trade. That was 5 Zealots, I believe it was, for almost nothing.
Yeah. He only knows the way of the sword, though, man. He's going to live and die by it. And Clem's army movement here really good. He's going to shave off some Marines, scout out the left side of that map, kind of see if there's anything else going on. Gateway ramping up for Jieshi here. And War Prism coming out. I mean, he thinks he's going to be the aggressor here soon, but I feel like he's in for a rude awakening.
Especially after just donating 5 Zealots for free. And don't forget that he was not really building any probes while Clem was moving out. He was obviously worried about the previous scenarios. Once again, going to engage his army. He's going to blink forward, but the Zealot count isn't that high.
No.
Most of the Zealots are going to get picked off. And I mean, he is pushing this army back for now, but there's a lot of bio units in that one medevac.
Yeah, and
this is not a good fight
play
at all.
From Clem. Gotta be careful about overextending for the red Protoss here.
I don't understand why he took that fight before +1 attack as well.
Yeah.
At that point, as a Protoss player, you want to sit back. You want to start creating that real upgrade advantage for yourself. Can we take a look at how many Zealots went down in this game? It must be like 14 Zealots at this point. 19 Zealots in an 8-minute game, Jeff.
Almost as many Marines, actually. Now, here's the big load up. A lot of eyes out on the map, but I don't think they actually have anything in the way of seeing this coming. And that is everything. Actually, whoa, this probe right here. Boys, the whole army's over here. Holy Toledo. Now, he could have a recall back. He's got the energy for it. He's not doing it just yet. And this force at the top of the ramp.
Yeah, he does go for it in the end, but it's even then with recall. I mean, there's a couple of Widow Mines as well. Stalkers are very exposed here in the natural as he's going to force out a defensive lane. Clem is just running circles around a Chinese Protoss at this point. A Widow Mine drop in the 3rd base. Why not?
Gets a lot of probes there. 10 do go down. Gets the majority of this army out of there as well, by the way. Supplies grossly in favor of our young French Terran player. The drop was allowing him to get some Widow Mine shots, pick off some units for free, essentially, but really slow down this Protoss. I mean, back over at the 3rd, he's already not mining the gas, and now he's at half probe production there. He's just locked in. He has no gas available. I think there's Templar coming out, but but look at his gas. Well, he's got 500, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing you can do right now is just hang on for dear life, hope for a couple of great force fields. But look at the army on the south side of this map for Clem. A massive force moving in, and our Protoss simply does not have the numbers. Clem is playing fast, man. He's all over the place. He's getting great trades. I love the way that Clem is playing this series.
And this fight is the inconsequential one. This is just the dagger in the side, but inside the main, that Terran army is getting tickled a little bit by these Zealots. A huge warp in, but he's pushing back. You know what? Jieshi's holding on. I thought one of these attacks would actually kind of kill him. I say holding on, but like, you know, he's falling apart.
I know what you mean. The Zealot counters isn't that anymore. Good pickup on that Immortal. That was very cute with that Warp Prism there. Pulled it back to that shield battery as well.
I think he doesn't have Storm, by the way. He's warped in a couple Templar, but
maybe he's going to morph them into Archons, or maybe try to land a couple of feedbacks on these medevacs. That is nice.
Okay, there it is. Yeah, you're right.
The thing is, right now, there is so much micro potential in the army of Clem, and Jieshi can't really do anything. All he can do is just A-move, and then he's going to lose a couple units. Now, this is a fight that he can take, but the reinforcements are coming for our French Terran. A couple of High Templars got picked off in the main base as well. I mean, Clem is playing really good.
This is looking like top-tier Terran stuff right here. Even winning the fight in there after picking off the Robo, the Ford just can't afford to start spinning here, so the upgrade advantage that our Protoss player does have is about to get kind of mitigated if we even make it that far. Because over here you see Clem is the one pushing back.
There have been so many Zealots picked up in this game. It's absolutely ridiculous. A Guardian Shield protects one of those Archons there for a little bit. Finally, Zealots will clean up that drop in the main base, but I don't know if there's going to be a way of stopping this Terran army. There is all that is left. There's a single Immortal that's going to get picked off as well. And I think that could very well be it, Jeff.
Very surgical play from a young Terran player here. He's just getting the right trades, if you've been pointing out, Rotterdam. It's not even like one overwhelming, sweeping win. Behind this, he's taking a 4th base. Behind this, he's upgrading. And he's just getting the better trade forever.
Yep. I think he has skilled over 50 Zealots in this game. More Stalkers getting picked up as well.
Oh my god.
Can we take a look at how many Zealots died real quick before this game? 64 Zealots in an 11-minute game. GG. Clem will move on to the winner's match of this group stage.
Not a good series, not exciting, but an impressive showing from a young guy who just became old enough to be here. Put him on the big stage and he swats in an international match. Very impressive stuff. I'm excited to see more from him.
Yeah. Clem looked really, really good there. Of course, I think this is a matchup where, in general, he shines because he has a couple of very strong French protesters that he has to go up against. If you want to do well in France, you need to be able to beat guys like Petit Drogo, like the DNS. And I mean, he showed it there, man. That was an excellent performance.
And that's not it for our Chinese Protoss either. This is just the first match, so he's still got some life. And we've seen this a couple times, actually, on this stage where one of these guys gets beaten but still makes it out of the group through their grit, basically going down the hard way. So good luck to him. But we're actually on stage with an interview between Sue and this little Terran player.
Thank you very much, In Control. Congratulations, Clem. You're only 16 years old, but this is your first WCS event in front of all of these American fans. How does it feel to play on this stage and win?
It's my first WCS event, so I'm really happy that I can win today.
Clem, you have been so amazing today. Earlier, you took down Showtime 2-1, and now here on the main stage, you just beat Jieshi 2-0. So are you feeling very confident?
Yeah, I'm feeling confident, even though I'm a bit tired. So that's a bit weird that I do so well, but yeah, I'm confident now.
Well, now you're in the winner's match of this group. It's going to be a difficult match because it's either TLO or Cyril. So what do you think of those two players?
They're both pretty good, but Cyril, I feel like I can't beat him, but we'll see how it goes.
Indeed, we will see how it goes. Congratulations again, Clem. We will all be cheering for you. Nathanius, back to you.
And there we have it. Arguably the most adorable WCS competitor ever takes the 2-0 victory over his Chinese opponent, making these pushes, these drops, this harass, hitting with the mines, not being overly aggressive. He was patient with his stims. Guys, Clem played some serious StarCraft there.
Yeah, young Clement Duplange. You really can't say enough about his poise and posture on stage. His prestidigitation is the illustration of the apotheosis of equanimity. It just means he does well under pressure, so glad we all learned something here today.
Nice. You were waiting all day for a scenario in which you could say that, Rapid.
I saved up all my money and just spent it on like $500 worth of words, so.
Nice, nice.
That's solid.
Fear Dragon.
That was just awesome. That was just super great. And you know what the coolest thing about that is that was the best way Clem could open up with a main stage match to kind of warm himself up. Because now when he faces off versus other players potentially on the main stage, he's already going to have sort of some of the jitters out against a player that he was able to just dominate. That you just feel better about playing on the main stage after something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, this is an interesting group because we have that weird scenario that we talked about where TLO is going to have that match against Cyril. I don't think that many people will be like, yeah, this is it where like Cyril gets upset by Clem in the winner's match. But I think there's a very realistic opportunity that whether it's a rematch or a match against TLO, that Clem could find his way making to the round of 16 for tomorrow, which I have to feel that he's gotten a lot of fans today after seeing him play. He played just some very straight up good games to kick off his premier debut.
Yeah, he didn't even have a super easy run. We were talking about this before. He didn't have an easy run through Group Stage 2 or Group Stage 1. He actually had some really good opponents. You were talking about that crazy series he played versus Bly earlier. I mean, he has just really showed up today. It's so refreshing to see how well he's doing.
Yeah.
Especially for his first time at a WCS event, the #1 thing you talk about when it comes to new players is how well do they perform offline as opposed to online. You do need to stay calm under pressure in front of this huge crowd, but when everybody's cheering your name, it's got to really help you through the series.
Yeah, so really excited, looking forward to seeing Clem play. I'm really, really interested to see whether he gets out of his group. I already like this guy. His builds were very clean. He played very well. So we are going to be getting into more matches soon. Ravi, I believe you've got a little something to show us.
I do have something to show, and this is actually this is quite the match. We got Scarlet versus Hearthstone. I mean, these are just two fan favorites right now. Ooh. You guys can see not too much has happened so far. This is still just game one. We had pretty typical one Stargate opening here from Hearthstone. He's getting up his third Nexus. Scarlet already getting started with a lot of that creep spread, but this just looks like it's going to be a great match. I think the other players in this group are also Kalazur, as well as, I'm trying to remember who the last player is.
Is this the first game of the series?
First game of the series.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. It's really looking like it might end up being a pretty good one, as Hearthstone has been just showing some really good games lately.
You know what? I think Rotterdam somewhere is feeling some weird mojo coming in with the double Stargate Phoenix. I think that unit is basically Roddy's spirit animal here. Interesting to see this used, just trying to put on like crazy pressure early on. So Hearthstone is bringing out some unorthodox strategies against Scarlet, a player that we know to be very, very on and off between the aggression and the mega greed.
All right, well, looks like the Phoenix are actually starting to be revealed here now. So Scarlet catching the first little glimpse of it. She has a handful of these queens, but there's only 4 queens out. That's really hard to actually deal with this number of Phoenix. So you can see they're just pretty much all being lifted up. She has to build a random spore crawler in the middle of kind of the natural in the third.
Hearthstone with the very interesting meme build to start this series off against Scarlet. And you surprise somebody with those Phoenix and the queen count gets worked away. Suddenly all of these overlords. Is there I don't see a spore in the natural either.
The natural is completely empty.
Is this like the mass Viking strategy? I mean, Hydras are going to come out, but...
Well, there's now 6 Hydras out, and it looks like the lift energy is almost all gone. So Scarlet
is going to have to bounce.
She does finally push that back. But I mean, I think Hearthstone keeps the majority of those Phoenix alive.
He's still building more as well. So with the Twilight, I'm wondering if this goes into like charge and +1.
It gets weird, right? He only has 2 warp gates, and he doesn't have any more on the way. So he's getting the Robo. It's hard to build up a huge gateway force to support this, so maybe he just takes his third, uses the Phoenix to take some map control, and then eventually gets up like an Immortal Cannon, and eventually some gateways.
Well, I mean, you have to think with the Phoenix, the ability for them to pressure on the map makes it difficult for Scarlet to move out. This is weird, Rapid. I mean, you guys have like normal games in Korea. Have you seen this before?
I think this is one of those things that if it catches you off guard, the attempt to right the ship after this starts to deal damage to you is just so difficult. It appears as if Scarlet is really doing that to the best of her ability, but I gotta say, this is a great position for kind of Hearthstone to have gotten himself into, but I just don't know if he did enough with that, right?
I think a lot of it comes down to like, if Scarlet were to try to move out on the map and there are enough Phoenix to kill the Hydras, she just loses everything. So she has to weirdly play defensive, aside from the fact that this army isn't exactly the greatest in a head-to-head engagement. But the Hydra count's going up, so maybe she'll push soon. We are waiting for other games to get ready. Hope you guys aren't upset that we're taking some time to show you this, but
Hearthstone loses a bunch of the Phoenix right there.
The Protoss players are upset we showed them this now.
He's gonna lose another one right there.
That's brutal. Hearthstone needed to have these Phoenix to just maintain map control and also even just help out a little bit in the fight, but now he's still trying to buy time for Storm, and Scarlet already knows she killed off enough. Okay, yeah, you can kill a couple of these overlords, kill a couple of these drones, but Scarlet is looking for the kill.
This is one of those moments where you're like, go full day 9 here. You're like, they're doing something weird. I'm just gonna go kill them. And there's not really a whole lot here for Hearthstone. Buying time with the force fields on those sentries, but needs to get Storm. It's getting Immortals out.
And Scarlet just splits up some Hydras on the right-hand side and says, okay, you can force field off one side. What about the other side? And now she's going to bust her way through. The force field slightly misplaced. Nice stasis traps are catching some of the units here, but the Phoenix are finally coming back home, and I feel as though Scarlet has already broken through a majority of the chunk of Hearthstone's army.
Yeah, and we can see Scarlet deals with that gotcha build with the Phoenix very easily and takes that first map against Hearthstone.
Well done.
Bad. Not bad at all.
I think Scarlet, Scarlet's the person who I think we're always kind of saying, okay, which Scarlet showed up? Is it Pyeongchang Scarlet or is it Leipzig Scarlet? Because those came across 1 week apart, and this is looking like a good Scarlet.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting to do any actual StarCraft commentary
right.
on the host, but I appreciated getting a little bit of that. Always like seeing those funny builds. But that is it for that match. There'll be more of that going on. We'll keep you updated. But until then, we're going to go to a short break. When we return, the World Championship Series continues.